Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Middle-Aged Barbarians. Today, it will be an ASMR.
A magical ASMR.
Today we will talk about the wizard.
We should talk about magic.
But
Do
we
you
can't
believe
speak
in
too
magic,
loud
Eugene?
because the wizard will be upset.
I think you do. Okay, now, but seriously.
We could do an ASMR episode one day. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, something special for...
I see the producer squirming in his chair out of
Everybody.
excitement.
Yeah, we've been messing with him on previous recordings, making sounds that hurt his ears.
He really loves it. He loves it when it makes sounds
No, well, yeah.
like this. No, I'm not gonna do
You
it.
forgot to introduce us. I'm Eddie.
I'm Eugene,
Yeah.
and together we are...
Yeah.
Wild Stout. Oh, no, wait, that's something else.
That's somebody else, yeah. I think we got more of a Beavis and Butthead vibe.
Oh, we could do one of these. Now we have a center view.
Like this. Oh, yeah, true. We have the new camera, yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah,
Sorry. All
we
right,
can
sorry.
tell you do
can
not
tell I
want to
don't
talk
really
about
wanna
wizards.
Talk about what's going on. All right,
Wizards.
wizards,
My favorite class, not your favorite class.
wizards, but not from the coast.
No, not from the coast. Regular wizards. The magical archetype of the versatile mage that can do anything. Miracles. But at the beginning, he's frail as a chocolate eclair. I don't know. Whichever thing you think it's frail, that's basically the wizard.
I love the ongoing gag on the internet that says just dies from 1 die 4 insert type of damage. It's just anything they'll be doing like shorts. I think it's actually the same guy that does the paladin of throwing it back, that twerking paladin thing. I find that pretty funny too. So they're like taking out the trash, and all of a sudden, dies from 1 die 4 taking out the trash. And, he just dies.
Yeah, that's basically your wizard. But,
But they've gotten beefier.
what?
They've gotten beefier.
Yes, they got him beefier, and they've made them more useful since the beginning. Starting by the use of cantrips. Back in the day, since we started, cantrips were not really a thing, or cantrips were actually really, really weak. So the bettering of cantrips helped a lot to the survival and usefulness of the wizard.
You know, with the playtest group that I've been participating in, we're doing a lot of the old style D&D, and wizards at level 1. Those things are. You have 1 cast of sleep, maybe 2 spells. That's it,
That's it. Yeah.
and that's a day. And you're weak. You got 4 points of hit points if you're lucky.
Yeah. But when you get to higher levels,
You get 2 sleeps. No, I'm kidding.
no, basically you become God, and that's very interesting. But that was always the joke. That's why wizards were always evil when they were higher level, because they've been so abused throughout their careers.
You know how you get a wizard with the high AC?
Yeah, you put a fighter right in front.
You put it behind the fighter.
Yeah, that's the way to roll it. But now this new wizard works a lot differently. We got cantrips, which are really, really useful now. Speaking of messing with the producer.
Sorry.
And we got this feature that wasn't really used sometimes, but because it was kind of lost in the shuffle of all the spellcasting, but they gave it a prominent spot, which is ritual spellcasting. Wizards are now supposed to be the expert ritual spellcasters. They can do these spells that take a long time to cast, but have really useful effects
Without expending slots. They can
without
do it anytime
expending
they want,
slots. That's very, very interesting. I mean, very thematically useful, very thematically appropriate. They also can change cantrips, which is something that supposedly only the wizard will be able to do. The cantrips that they've chosen, after a long rest, they can choose another cantrip.
Just switch it up.
Switch it up. That's it.
How did that? Okay, because I mean, usually, again, I've never really played a wizard. They pick their spells at the beginning of the day from their
Yes.
spell book, but
Correct.
cantrips aren't spells that they prepare.
No, you have like this general pool of effects that scale up with the level, and yeah, they usually I don't
So
know.
you learn like 4 or 5 cantrips, and that's
And
it.
that's it.
Because I'm thinking like more like the cleric. I know the cleric knows, I think, 2 or 3 cantrips at first level, and then they gain 1 extra cantrip. But you can't switch your cantrip spells normally.
Normally, neither wizards could.
Okay.
This is a new thing. They can now switch up the cantrips. Like we said, versatility is the name of the game in this new edition.
Yeah.
You can be... I mean, you can choose to do it or not, but...
Well, then, there's another thing at level 5. Something with that they can like switch a level 1 spell at a short rest or something?
Yes, you can change. You can from your spell book. You can change a prepared spell.
Now, I do wonder, and I'm waiting. I don't want to put my chocolate on your peanut butter, but I want them to put out that cleric video. I want to see if they're going to be as nice to the cleric as they are to the wizard and the warlock and all these. Oh no, I muted myself.
You muted yourself. Yeah, be careful with that. That's why we don't really touch the mics because
we're just messing with the.
Yeah, they have a really sensitive muting.
Well, I didn't hear myself. I wanted to hear myself nicer.
Yeah. What else do you get? You get a scholar. You get an expertise on a knowledge on a selection of skills. Probably stuff like Arcana or.
I think they mentioned history and
stuff like that.
Nerdy stuff.
Stuff of the sort. And obviously wizards, and this is still not published, so we're not sure how it's going to work, but their deal is spells. You're a battery of spells. You have a ton of spells, particularly now that they emphasized ritual casting. And well, until we see a lot more spells, we'll be able to determine. But they changed several spells. They refocused schools. Because the subclasses, as per usual, are based on the schools of magic.
Well, that's something I did notice, and I know we've been going through all these classes, and they've always been mentioning 4 subclasses per class.
Correct.
Wizards didn't have 4 subclasses.
No,
Wizards had access to the 8 schools of magic.
Yes.
So now there's only 4 subclasses because they even mentioned they changed it. It's now not at 2nd level. They have to wait to 3rd level like all the other classes to get their sub-school or whatever. And they only mentioned 4. If I'm not mistaken, they mentioned illusion, abjuration, evocation,
and divination.
So, I mean, what happens to the other 4 schools? Are those DLCs?
Probably, yeah. It's probably going to be something else. Or probably they're going to be something that is not suggested for player characters because it's not really a good option. So, I mean, especially, for instance, necromancy. It's
dude, how can you have the edgiest warlock with the pact with the fiends and the devils and the goths and you can't have a kick-ass necromancer? I mean, they have to. That's the one thing I have tried to play before as a wizard. I know I don't talk about it much, but I tried necromancy with the wizard. I tried necromancy with the cleric. There's not enough spells. It seems like there's not enough spells for it.
Yeah, maybe that's a thing they didn't get.
Sorry, I'm ranting about necromancy.
Yeah, maybe. But
anyway, whatever. I don't care. Not my class.
But well, still. I think that. I mean, I think it's a difficult balancing act because they actually made all the 4 subclasses. They made it really different because usually, I mean, the first time back in the day, the first specializations, what happened was you could not cast spells of a certain school, but your spells from your school
were augmented.
You had extra spell slots. They were a little bit more powerful at the exchange of not getting. Not having spells. So you can either be a generalist, a wizard that had everything, or
a specialist, yeah.
Or you could be a specialist, but that came with a trade-off. Then they made it that you get like a little bonus and an expanded like free bonus spells that you learned, and no real drawback. Now they actually have very, very different abilities depending on the class. So I'm guessing that's why they didn't chose to leave it so big to have all 8 classes, or maybe they'll change and just have this 4 classes of magic. Because, for instance, necromancy could perfectly be conjuration. I mean, if you get a little bit metaphysical about it.
I will not. Anyway,
so what are
the subclasses that they did mention, Eddie?
Well, they mentioned, first of all, abjuration, the abjurer, which is mostly dedicated to defensive spells. Yeah. But, and this is a very, very
arcane tank.
What?
He's like a little arcane tank.
Yes, like your little arcane tank. They absorb damage. They put a ward. One of their abilities to put up a ward that takes damage, and then you take damage afterwards. So yeah, you can be sort of an arcane tank.
I think they flipped something around. I think before I don't know. They mentioned something that it works a little different. I think now they reduce either like your resistances or
Yeah,
your
before,
vulnerabilities also come into play here.
yes, before, for instance, let's say you took fire damage and you had your ward and you had a little bit of fire resistance. Before, the ward took damage first, then your spell resistance applied.
Okay.
Now it's the other way around.
You're okay. So those qualities that your character would have, be it vulnerability, resistance.
Apply to the ward first and then to you. Then it takes damage.
Okay, a bit more spongy.
Yes, a little bit more, less fragile. And it makes a little more sense, I think, mathematically speaking. It's similar to, I mean, we were there when it changed. When they changed from Thaco to plus bonuses, it kind of makes more sense than having to apply this little kind of weird order.
And they could do that to themselves, and then later on, I think they could do it to an ally.
Yes, you can ward allies as well.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's like a tank, and they also have a little bit of offensive power because they still have the spells, or their cantrips could be offensive.
Did you ever watch Goblin Slayer? I don't think you ever got around to watching Goblin Slayer.
Goblin Slayer? No, haven't seen it.
Watch it. I mean, it's I guess maybe trigger warning is what people say. It's very
Very violent.
and not only a physical nature but also like a sexual nature. So just tread carefully. But the cleric priestess uses like magic to actually build this light barrier, and the arrows get stuck, but they can attack through it. So that's kind of like what I envision.
Yeah, I'm guessing something like that.
This ward.
And, well, mostly the coolest thing I think that the Adjutor gets at 10th level, they get counter spells and dispel magics as a automatic spell in their spell list.
Oh, paladins are going to love that.
And they can counter, and they can counter spells as a free action.
Free action counter that smite.
Yes, you can be like,
Smite that!
Yeah, so that will be very interesting to see it in action, because you usually see in fiction like this sorts of the spell battles, like the wizards are launching spells and they launch spells that cancel each other. But I was never really able to do it in D&D because you had to have the spell prepared, you had to identify it before. No, I can counter it. I don't care. I just launch magic, and I mean, thematically seems very interesting. Annoying, yes, of course. You're kind of the party killer. The fun police, because, that's a nice fireball you got over there. It'd be a shame if somebody countered it.
And I think if they miss, they don't lose it.
Exactly. Which is
That
also,
seems a little broken, doesn't it? I don't know.
I mean, you're specializing in this. I mean, you probably won't be able to do like the amazing things that the illusionists can do now in exchange for doing this. I mean, they all get like this really
It's a change off.
a special ability. Oh, speaking of that, we can talk about the illusionist a little bit.
Okay. I guess these are the two that were most changed, right? The
Abjurer and the illusionist.
abjuration and the illusion.
Yeah, because they kind of changed the philosophy of them.
Okay.
They kind of established that philosophy. Like, I mean, they didn't say it explicitly that it was the tank, but it's kind of the tank. And the illusionist also gets more offensive abilities because it was always kind of a pseudo-social thing, illusions. I mean, there were really some deadly illusions, but what did they do? First of all, you don't need verbal components for launching illusions, which makes sense because imagine you're launching your illusion, you yell, illusion.
Yeah, that wouldn't work very well.
Yes. You get extra distance for your illusion, so you're kind of roguish.
They add 60 feet to the
Yes.
spell. If it's a 10-foot spell or something.
You get cantrips, but the coolest thing I think they get is phantasmal creatures. They can use. There were previously similar effects called phantasmal images, I think, that you basically could summon monsters, but they're not actual summons. You're not conjuring them, but they're illusions.
But here they are actually conjuring a monster.
Or they're just making a sort of a semi-solid illusion that's like a monster that has less hit points. They do less damage, and they can do.
Right, but it can do damage.
They do damage, yes.
Because I understood something that they can actually have like a mix on minor illusion where they can make sound and visuals.
Yes.
Which I guess that is good.
Yes, it's good, yeah.
Because before I think you could only either do something that makes a sound or you can only make something visual, but they can combine them, is what I understood.
Yes, usually illusion, you first have your minor illusions that are just visual or either or, and at upper levels you'll be able to add more stuff.
Major illusion of their spells, right?
Yeah, you can even add like touch, smell, but at higher levels. And it also depends on the creativity of the caster. Like, well, it's kind of a little bit of a DM's call if what you're making up with your illusions makes sense, but yeah, mainly the phantasmal creatures was it's a very, 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 very cool thing to do this change.
What else we got?
Well, the evokers are basically the same, and the diviners, they kind of, as a philosophy, they added that their bonuses were also 2 attacks. It makes sense that their their ability to see makes sense as a kind of pseudo combat thing, so they get bonuses to some attacks. And you can also get your senses are way keener, so you can get eventually you can get even 120 feet dark vision without.
There's an ability that they added something else that I think they added like see invisibility to those
for free, no spell slots.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, as you can see, with the difference between the 4 subclasses, sorry, it kind of makes sense to make even your party of all 4 wizards.
Well, now, what if you want to specialize in actually being a conjurer? That'd be kind of cool. I mean, that's like all the summons and
the summoner.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm sure they've got something packed away and ideas for supplements. I remember back in the day, 3rd edition, they had, I think, the complete Warrior's Guide, the complete Priest's Guide, the complete Arcana, and they added a bunch of extra stuff. I'm sure they've got more stuff.
Yeah, or I don't know if you remember Rokugan, the Legend of the Five Rings setting, that they had the Shujenga, which is kind of the equivalent of the wizard, and their schools were not divided the same way as... by the way, the way abjuration, conjuration, and so forth is based on the Hermetic mysticism, the way these 8 things and so forth is very alchemy-based. So what they did, they made based on the 4 elements. Okay. Metal, earth, fire, and wind, and water. The 5 elements, sorry. And
Captain Planet popped out?
Yes, sorry. Exactly. I mean, instead of heart, you had metal. But basically that's how it worked. And the spells were based on that. And depending on your element, you had different abilities. So you can do kind of different things with different... ways of seeing the magic system, but obviously this is not going to be on the basic handbook. This is something that has come up, and yes, surely they'll give us the rest of the magic specialists. I mean,
well, hopefully we'll see. At least you can make a decent necromantic enemy.
Yes, or a summoner, because summoner was like the bread and butter of an annoying enemy. You kill like hordes of monsters. Yeah, that's just that guy. That's over there.
He's already running away.
Yeah, that's that guy that's running away. That's the actual baddie. And you're like, dude.
Speaking of running away, let's get out of here.
Yes.
Leave a like, comment, subscribe. I think we've gone a little bit over what we had scheduled for, but that's cool.
Sorry about that. That's on me.
Wizards are an important part, an important staple of any fantasy role-playing game.
Yes.
So I guess if you can give them some love, give them the love.
And as always, remember
catchphrase:
rage responsibly.
Rage responsibly. I need to get like the outro card. Just have them like draw it like Nuka-Cola, like a Fallout kind of thing. Like rage responsibly.
Oh, that's cool.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll practice my calligraphy to do it.
Oh, you could do it.
Yeah, I can do it.
There we go. Anyway, we'll see y'all next episode.
Take care.
Roll the dice.